Well, America's credit rating is being downgraded for the first time ever. Standard & Poor's has cut its rating of US debt from AAA to AA+, citing the country's deficit burden. S&P has also attached a negative outlook to the new rating, but White House officials have been quoted by US media as saying that S&P's analysis has deep and fundamental flaws. Well, for more, our business editor Peter Ryan joins me now here in the studio. Thanks for joining us, Peter. How serious is this issue? I mean, a ratings cut from a country that's probably still considered the cornerstone of the global financial system.
Hi, Simon. The issue is that Standard & Poor's had really warned at least a week ago that unless they saw $4 trillion worth of cuts involved in the debt ceiling debacle that was just resolved a few days ago, they would consider downgrading US credit to a step below the rolled gold AAA. So that's happened today. A bit earlier than we expected. We're actually expecting Standard & Poor's to wait a few weeks, maybe a few months, to see how everything rolled out, but they've got on the front foot, they've moved out, and this is obviously going to be causing a lot of concern for global financial markets when Asian markets open on Monday.
And you say S&P's got out early and called the downgrade now, but rival ratings firms Moody's and Fitch haven't changed the credit rating at all.
But that's right. They reaffirmed the AAA credit rating earlier this week, but they did make the point that they wanted to see greater austerity in the United States over the next 10 years. So the question is whether or not they will decide to follow Standard & Poor's in reviewing the AAA rating.
Okay, and the White House officials are saying that S&P's analysis is flawed. Is there any possibility of that?
Well, I haven't seen the line-by-line Standard & Poor's analysis, but one would imagine that if you're making a fairly momentous decision to downgrade the world's biggest economy from AAA, you would make sure that you had a watertight case. And the way these things operate is that the White House would have been given a briefing or an opportunity to respond before this decision became public. And of course, the White House line would be that the methodology is flawed. It's a matter for the United States now to disprove the Standard & Poor's case, and it should be noted that there have been other countries around the world that have lost their AAA rating in recent decades, including Australia, and it is possible to win the AAA rating back, and that's obviously the mission for the White House from this day on.
So the fact that the ratings cut puts the US economy on par with Belgium and New Zealand, that's not much of an issue right now?
It's a very big issue because right around the world, just about every investment, in particular investments that banks have to make, have to have a certain amount of AAA rated debt. And that means US Treasury bonds. And the issue in the United States is with the greater risk attached to US debt at the moment, that means that the US will have to pay more interest on its borrowings, and that of course will have to be passed on to consumers and corporate finances. Now at the moment the United States every year pays about 514 billion US dollars in interest. Estimates from JP Morgan that the downgrading from AAA to AA+ will add another $100 billion worth of interest payments that they have to make, and of course that's money that could be spent elsewhere in the United States.
And you say Australia's AAA credit rating is intact, but what sort of impact could this have on economies like Australia?
I think that all economies around the world that deal with the United States and invest in US Treasury bonds and take on US debt will have to watch this very closely. There won't be any immediate impact, but when you take into account the events of the last few days, in particular the very heavy falls on global share markets due to uncertainty about the United States, and also there was a very big factor about the status of the US's AAA credit rating. We haven't seen the last of the volatility, and that's the big concern.
Okay, lots to look out for on Monday when the market opens. Thanks very much for your time, Peter.